What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Dom from Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm with the great man, John, and a special guest, Sean Mike Kelly. What's going on, mate?
What's up, guys? Excited to be here.
It's good. Very, very good. Yeah, thanks for your time. We just want to obviously jump into a few things. You hit us up. We thought great opportunity to discuss, obviously, sports cards, and obviously a bit about your background, which is very interesting. Reading up about you're an entrepreneur. You got into the business. You went to Rutgers, and then you thought of starting up your own business, and it took off. So that's where we'll start. Give us a bit of a background about yourself, and yeah, what you do, and your love of sports cards and sports.
Yeah, so basically, I'm 23 years old right now. I'm pretty new to the sports card game. I'd say probably like 6 to 8 months I started. But I went. Oh, sorry, my dog.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I went to Rutgers for 1 year, dropped out sophomore year because I was failing. I had like a 1.7 GPA, and I pretty much had to pick between my business and academics because I couldn't manage to do both because I like to go all in on whatever I'm doing. And then stuck with Jersey Champs. For those of you guys that don't know what that is, it's a company that makes custom sports jerseys. Our biggest hits are the basketball ones, and we work with a lot of athletes and rappers out here and influencers. And through that, doing that for 4 years, I was able to make a lot of solid connections, which sort of led me down into the sports card market because of people like Gary Vee, Steve Aoki, and other big sports collectors just started seeing what they were posting on social media and got involved. And I learned a lot in the past 6 months. At first, I was just buying graded cards and raw cards, but now I'm sort of on the wax side of things and supplying a lot of card shops.
Very nice. I don't know if you're allowed to reveal who you are supplying, but is there any big names out there? Or
Yeah,
any?
so I'm in LA, so I supply a lot of the card shops out here. Coffee Breakers, which is
Oh
Steve
yeah,
Aoki's store, I'm supplying them and doing a lot of business with them, and they're doing very well. They started 2 months ago,
they are
and
doing.
they just hit $1 million in revenue.
Yeah, they are doing well. We've been following them. Interesting store. Looked like it would be fun to roll into their store. Where it is, it's like in a Hollywood down
Yeah,
that sector. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
it looks very interesting. We'd love to, yeah, one day get down there and bloody
you guys are
go
here.
in there, rip some wax inside their store. Would be awesome.
Yeah, that's how I started.
That's it, man. It's
eh,
actually sick. Who do you collect in your PC? Just It's always a question we like to ask people to get a bit of a feel and see the
Yeah,
trends that you're
so
looking at. And
that's a great question. At first, I got way too excited and just bought everyone, but now I'm much more calculated. Like I have really random rookies. I don't even know if you guys know them, but now I focus on like more safer investments like LeBron, Devin Booker, Luca, Giannis, Kobe, um, and I buy them raw and graded. I know some people just focus on one, but I like doing both because the PSA subs are so exciting to get back, and I like
yeah,
that aspect of the card game.
nice, nice.
so do you just collect basketball cards, or have you ventured into NFL since like before the season started, or also have you dabbled in? Obviously, Pokemon's going crazy at the moment as well.
Yeah, so when I was first starting out, I was trying to do everything, and now I just focus on basketball. But like when I was first starting out, I was buying so many random things. Like I bought a Bruce Lee card. I bought like soccer players I've never even heard of. Pokemon. I invested in those Champions Path ETBs, the black ones. I bought like 4 cases of those. But my strength is basketball, so right now I'm just sticking with that. But I've heard so many opportunities in other markets. I just don't watch them, so I'm not as passionate.
That's fair enough. You go saucy.
Oh, I'll just say it's something interesting. I picked up following you on the socials was you comparing your wax investments to some other investments that you've got or things like that, and your wax investments actually just being able to get your hands on some cases of product and then either consigning that out to breakers, which I know it's something that you offer that you can sign it to breakers. They can buy a product and break the product, and then that they you pay you for the product. Just how's that going? That in a sense compared to your other investments, your wax and the growth and the trajectory you've seen on that, which I think we may have lost him. Sean.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. All right. And we got no volume. Technical difficulties over here at Double Coverage.
Can you guys hear me now?
There we go.
Okay,
there
we got you back. All right.
Sorry
So
about that.
I'm not sure if you could. We're hearing my question, but it was basically pretty much like I seen you comparing your wax investments compared to some other investments either that you had or other things, other whether it be stocks or whatever it's going on, and your wax seems to be killing the other investments.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys know Blowout Sports, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Platforms.
Yeah, so they released a wax fund, I believe in January of this year. They raised $3.15 million. And as of 2 months ago, that wax is now worth $8 million.
Wow.
So in just 8 months, they were able to turn 3 mil into 8 mil, which is insane. So once I saw they published everything on atticinvestments.com. Once I read that, I was like, all right, I got to start taking this super serious. So I started buying tons of wax. And I take two approaches. I do short-term flips to the card shops and breakers, so I have cash flow coming in. And also I hold on to 20% of my wax long-term.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a great balance because that 20% can increase a hell of a lot. Like, well, if you just took, for instance, like if you just were able to buy some optic blasters at $30 a pop or whatever they are, I think they're now like around about the $200 mark. So around that 220, 250. So it's just and the longer that you hold on to things, it seems as though as long as your draft class has got talent in there, and that talent comes good in the future. Your wax, holding sealed wax is the safest bet. And as I've spoken before, sealed wax on the secondary market is always undefeated. It's always undefeated. The price always increases on the secondary market, regardless. So it doesn't matter what the wax is. It really has to be the only wax that I've seen that hasn't increased on the secondary market has been like, really shitty sets of Pokemon cards or something like that. But other than that, everything basketball, like basketball solid and NFL solid, everything increases pretty much.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I just bought a ton during the off season because that's usually when it's a little lower. And
Yeah.
I bought 10 cases of Mosaic Cellos from Blowout at $400 a box. The basketball ones from 2019, and now those are like $550 each box, and that's literally in like 2-3 months, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
And it's not like, well, the demand's there, like everyone wants it, but it's not like there's like a shortage. That's the crazy thing. There's so much, like the print runs on these products are like ginormous, and people, yeah, everyone's
Right.
going nuts.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We've been talking about it a fair bit. It's insane, like on the secondary market, and that's something we've always said to people as advice from ourselves as well. Is like if you see something on pre-order, you probably want to like snap it up before it's gone, or else you got to go to the secondary.
Yeah,
And
so I'm not sure if you look over here. Like, I mean, for the average Joe around there, the guy here that doesn't have the connections that you have, Sean, and that can probably be able to get access to some of this product. They have to go either be able to snag some down at Walmart or Target, or they be able to get some orders online. In Australia, there's pretty much no such thing. It's pretty much only pre-orders, and if you don't get a pre-order, well, you're not getting anything. So everything sells out on pre-order. So pretty much no stock makes it to the shelf. I mean, the only things that make it to the shelf is like your hoops packs, and that's about it. You won't see no Prism or Optic sitting in the shelf
no.
for you to walk in and buy. It's unbelievable. It's pretty much unbelievable the growth that the hobby has had in the last sort of 12 months, especially here. And then, overall over the last 2 years, which has been amazing. And that's where I've seen, like people like yourself and other guys that have jumped in. And there was a guy that through the week I seen he made like he invested, I don't know how much, in Wayne Gretzky rookies. I don't know if you've seen this story, Sean. And he made like $3 million. Like he invested and and then he sold them 12 months later, and he's made like $3 million. Buying all these Wayne Gretzky OPG rookie. It's the OPG one card, which is I've known about for a while, and I knew that was the card to get. Probably wish I just bought one when I was thinking about it. I don't remember Dom with me and you speaking about Wayne Gretzky.
Don't even get me started. That was like in December last year. If we looked at the prices of how cheap they were, it's like it was cheap, but cheap if it makes sense in terms of like it was a couple $1,000s. And in hindsight, it's the risk you take, really, because everything, as we know, like sports cards is gambling to an extent. If you take that risk on the 2,000, like a couple $1,000s here, the reward down the track, if you had a couple,
massive.
But what are you going to do? That's hindsight. So,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, was that $2,000 raw for the Gretzky or graded?
Raw.
Raw. Gotcha.
Yeah. But I think I saw there was a couple graded ones. I think one was, trying to think off the top of my head, 15K or 30K for I think a 10 at that stage. But you think about it, 30K, and then, but you don't know. That's a risk you take. You outlay that coin, and then if you lose it, and it can hurt you financially. But
yeah, when I was first starting out, I was definitely making some silly purchases during the peak of the NBA season and buying graded cards, and most of them went down.
Yeah, don't worry. Like, I mean, there's many people that have been there. Like, even me myself, like, was picked up a few guys that I probably shouldn't have, and then prices came crashing down. But the good thing is, Sean, the NBA is right around the corner, and
just off 2 days worth of preseason games.
Yeah, just 2 days worth of preseason games. As you've seen, this bloke here, which I've pulled him out of the woodworks, Taylor Horton Tucker. He's gone off for 19 points, and I've called it the Bol effect 2.0, when he just plays good in a practice game, and all of a sudden his card prices have gone up. People are bloody paying $30 for a hollow his hollow optic card. So those will be going up on eBay once I finish this. Just get rid of them because I love Taylor Horton Tucker. I'm a Lakers fan, but let's be honest,
it could be something.
He's a guy that could be something. Come on.
LeBron tweeted it.
Yeah, I was gonna say when our boy LeBron's out here, just tweeting him and saying he's unbelievable, and it's just like, don't say these things.
It's crazy that one person like him or Gary Vee can change the price of a card that much.
It's unbelievable. It actually is unbelievable.
It's called, it's been coined the Gary Vee effect. So it's Gary Vee mentions something and then it goes bananas. But when Gary Vee does mention something, there's always opportunity arising because he usually posts a certain card and people flock towards that card. And I've actually found that if you're quick enough and you go buy some other cards that people aren't thinking about and you pick those up, then when those ones rise up so much, people will start buying another variation of that player. So in another card set. So if you can buy those card sets and secure those, then you can sell them, in a week or two when people are like, no one can get that Devin Booker Prism because it's gone up, by $600-700 because Gary Vee's said buy Devin Booker. And then you buy the Devin Booker Select cards, and then in a week or two they'll slowly rise a bit. Not as much as the Prism, but you'll be able to make some money, and you can make a quick flip, which I've done a few times. So, there's always positives that you can take out of it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's super smart.
Because the thing is, one thing that we've discussed here is like with Gary, he's one of the best things to happen to this hobby. Like getting eyes on the hobby and getting more people involved.
Right.
A lot of people blame him for things in terms
I've
of
seen that. Yeah.
we discussed and said that's not the case. It's actually the complete opposite. Like I said, he actually helps people get into the hobby, but
Mm.
it's because of his following. Like John was saying, as soon as he posts a card, everyone flocks to that card. It's not his fault. He's got like over 8 million people following him, like on Instagram alone. So multiply that across all the different people that aren't following him on other platforms. Like it makes sense as to why that card's going to go through the roof. But you can't blame the guy for that. Like, and then they try to censor him and tell him like you can't put cards up because it's going to do this to the market. That's not his fault. What are you meant to do? But the fact that he actually is out there educating people and trying to teach them in what to buy, and literally the 80-20 ratio that he talks about, 80% vintage, 20% like for modern players, like that is something we've discussed. I don't know if you're in that frame of mind as well in the hobby. We always look towards vintage guys because they're accomplished and they've got the accolades, opposed to, as much as we love Trey and Luca, which we do, we love Trey and Luca so much, but one comp that John always uses is like you got a Shaquille O'Neal and you can get a couple of his cards for 100 USD, and then Trey Young on the other end is like 150 to 200 USD, and he's accomplished nothing. So it's like, what are your thoughts on that? Have you collected a fair bit of vintage? Is it in your PC?
Yeah, so my mindset completely shifted when I first started. When I first started, I was on that hype train that a lot of people are on, and just buying Treys, John Morant's, Zion's, and then just started watching a ton of YouTube videos. And now the past month, I'd say I've been going more vintage, like LeBron's, Giannis, Kobe. I think I have a couple Shaqs actually. I haven't gotten any Jordans yet, but one day.
Yeah, you work towards that. But Kobe's a very, very good buy. Very good.
Yeah,
Just
very
as a
good.
PC, like if we're not looking at the flipping side of things, he's got some of the most beautiful cards. Like they're unreal. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
some
you
of the
can get
oldest
some of them, it's
skybox inserts and things like
just
that.
ridiculous.
They're quality stuff. So
Yeah, I got one of his Skybox cards. It's like a red one. It's pretty sick.
Oh, you'd be all over it, John.
oh, mate, don't worry. So you don't venture too much into the football side of things, the NFL. You stay within the basketball lane as of now. As of now, I mean, there's one thing I could tell you, Sean, is if you could secure some Prism football. That is a lock to 100% go up in price, especially with this draft class. And you got it seems as though three quality quarterbacks have come out of this draft, which quarterbacks is what drives the NFL market and card market. And so if a class like this where there's three quality quarterbacks coming out of it, that's a buy. If you can get some with your connections at Prison Football, I would suggest that's something that you would lock in and hold on to. You can do the same thing with what you're doing with some of that other wax. So how have you found sort of your introduction coming into sports cards, coming from, what sort of things have you taken from your entrepreneurship in the jersey world and transition that over towards the card game so you can, be as successful as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to answer that. To touch up on the football thing, I did buy some Prism no huddle boxes, and I paid like 750 USD for them, and they sold right away for like 900. So that was definitely a quick flip, and people love the Prism football, I noticed. So I definitely gotta take football more serious. It just scares me with all the injuries.
Yeah, yeah. It's look, and that's one thing I'll always keep saying to people about the NFL. They did I don't know if you've heard this before, but was something that I've read, and it just sticks in my mind every time I think about injuries in NFL. They did a study a few years ago about concussions, and they watched every single game over 4 years, and they realized that out of all the games that they watched, only in 1% of those games over a 4 year span was there no injury. So out of pretty much, there was only 1% of the time that there was not an injury in the game. That's pretty much saying that every single game there is injury or multiple injuries in the game. So it's like it's a very, very tough sport in that sense, and injuries can derail a guy, and you can be left definitely holding the bag on guys if you've gone hard on some of them. So yeah, I get where you're coming on that point, but that's where the sealed wax, as I said, Sean, the sealed wax is undefeated. If you can get it at a decent enough price, that's maybe a bit above what it would be going for, and then you hold on to it for a little bit longer, you are always going to make money. It's like it's inevitable. And holding 20% is also solid. So back onto what have you bought in from your learning out of Jersey Champs? What have you bought that? How's that transitioned over to the card market?
Right. Yeah. So I think two main takeaways I've seen from the jersey into the card market. The first one is my connections in China from just selling jerseys from China for 4 or 5 years. I built a lot of solid relationships with distributors out there, and I was pretty much able to get in touch with Tmall, Panini distributor. So that's how I get the Tmall stuff so like quick and so cheap. Takes like 3 days to ship to me out in LA, and I've pretty much been supplying all the card shops and breakers in America the Tmall products because I'm getting it cheapest. So that was a huge win. And then the second thing is I built a lot of relationships with athletes through Jersey Champs. So I'm bringing them on my IG lives and I'm educating them and also educating people watching. And these athletes have huge followings as well. So they're bringing tons of people into the sports card market. So I think that's super cool to combine the athletes with the cards.
Yeah, that's awesome. We love seeing that stuff, and I have seen that there's been quite a few rappers and the likes wearing those Jersey Champs, jerseys, which is pretty nifty if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting aspect. One thing I need to ask is how do we get some double coverage jerseys? Like how do we hook that up? We're gonna get the double coverage going on.
Oh yeah, we'll make it happen for sure.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
I got a quick one there about some of the athletes because I got a leading question. But some of the athletes that you have had relationships with, can you give us a bit of a scope as to who they are? I've got a question leading into it that relates to sports cards.
Ones I've made jerseys for: Klay Thompson, Clint Capella, Matthew Dellavedova, Matt Barnes. Trying to think. There's so many, like Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, just a bunch of them, and a lot of the rookies from the 2019 class, like Romeo Langford, Kyle Guy. Yeah, a lot of those guys have been watching my stories with all the boxes I've been posting and DMing me about it. So like Kevin Durant's manager just bought 100 of his PSA 10 rookie cards from the owner of Coffee Breakers. So all these athletes are really starting to take the card market serious.
So the question that I'm leading into, because it's very interesting that you say that, like they're buying their own cards. We've seen in the past, obviously, Giannis has put up pictures on his IG story where he's got heaps of his cards. LeBron's mentioned that he's got a fair few of his rookie stuff, and people are going absolutely nuts. I know they're investing in themselves, which is actually something that's pretty good and pretty smart. But the question is, when they sign with Panini, obviously they got rights to sign over, and they get a commission base out of that, which is fair enough. It makes sense. But do you think that they're starting to realize that through the cards, you have answered it to an extent, but through like investing in themselves by signing with them and then going on and promoting themselves through people like yourself and other people on social media and talking about the card game, it'll lift their profile high enough so then people go into collecting them. So then in flow and effect, really, they get the call up again to come back and keep signing more and more and more. So their print runs go higher. So there's more of their cards to collect. So do you think that's a trend now and they're going to start doing that a lot more?
Yeah, I mean, if I just look at it from their perspective, why not? If it's legal, then I would be doing it. I don't know what Panini's paying them, if it's like royalties or anything. but it makes sense for them to do that.
Yeah, they get a certain commission fee. I'm not sure. Like, I'm guessing it'll probably be more for like the bigger names. You know, your as I said, your Taylor Horn Tucker, him signing's probably definitely not getting as much as, say, for instance, Trey Young, or the bigger names that draw more in the hobby. But yeah, I think, to bring it back to Dom's point, a lot of the hobby and hype around a guy can be what they do on the court, but what they do off the court can really drive their prices, as we've seen with Matisse Tybal, and how he created a vlog series during the bubble, and we've seen his prices, spike up because people, were interested in him, and what he was doing, on YouTube, not even what he was doing on the court. And then you've seen SGA, when he was building his brand, sort of signing with Converse, making these sort of short little clips and films or whatever he was doing. He was releasing them on his socials, and that sort of built up a bit of his hype around his cards. The card market is interesting. We always like to bring it back to your performance and what you've achieved and what you do on the court, in terms of basketball and other sports as well. But it's funny how the impact of what you do socially and on your social networks can impact how your card prices fare. So, it's something to watch out for. If you catch onto a guy is doing something interesting, over socials, or I don't know, something like similar, like the Matisse Thybulle thing or whatever. It's something that if if he's looks like he's trying to build his brand like that, and his cards are cheap, it's definitely something to buy his cards if they're affordable, and hold them, because you never know, because there could be that point where it kicks off and then his card prices go up 100%, 200%, and then you can sell these cards and make it a quick flip. So I mean, these are all things that you need to be aware of. And yeah, it's just like understanding all the different aspects within the market that you can jump on to potentially flip some cards, and be able to put the cards up at the right time. And yeah, so what's your grasp on understanding those other things in the market, rather than just on field performance?
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard that before from YouTubers, like who they're dating, how much
Yeah,
followers they have.
yeah,
I think that's part of the reason why Tyler Hero cards went up so much, because of his clout. Um, and Jimmy Butler was vlogging in the bubble as well, I believe. So I see people starting to do that because YouTube's another source of revenue for them, and I think it's smart. So definitely got to keep an eye on that kind of stuff.
Definitely. The other thing as well is like custom cards, which we've seen in terms of like investing in themselves. Homegrown hero for us, Tyson Beck. He's been doing a lot of custom stuff. Yeah. Obviously with Mitchell Tatum and Hero. And by sending out that stuff to them, those guys have obviously they sign cards, there's base cards and stuff, and he gets them back. But him building that relationship with them, and it's something we discussed. And I know Gary Vee's actually spoken about cards being the next type of like modern art in society and stuff, like compared to like what it was when an artist creates a painting. But I think that's to an extent when it comes to like products and all that, like really nice looking cards. But when you get actual artists out there creating artist proof cards and getting athletes on board, I think that's when it starts to really get into that culture, that pop culture of artists out there, and they're creating these cards, getting them printed, getting them signed. They're so limited. Everything you get is practically limited. There's no unlimited prints on them. So I think by investing in that for an athlete as well, a work of art, over time, it appreciates, especially if the artist is extremely popular. The one thing we've said is just imagine if you had Picasso was into cards. He was still doing stuff, and he was doing a card, and he did, who knows, a LeBron James card limited that got taken up by Tops, and they print out the card, but LeBron will sign it, but the art was done by like a Picasso for a LeBron James. And just imagine that, because of his reputation, how sought after those cards would be. I think it's a lot of them, these artists are starting out But once they start building their name more and more and more within the community, once they start dropping things, releases, and the more limited stuff, they're going to get bought up quickly, and those things will hold the test of time in terms of value. Not even to sell, it's just as a piece to even keep in your own home. I know it's a little piece of cardboard, but people are starting to buy display units for it, display cases, wall cases. It's unbelievable, which is awesome, and something that we love. Like, to show off your collection is, well, the collector's dream, really. You take pride in it. You definitely do. So your thoughts on that, like collecting those niche like type cards compared to mainstream stuff?
Oh, I could see that 100%. I mean, Tyson's already huge, and I'm pretty sure every drop he does sells out completely. So people like Tyson keep doing that. Yeah, 100%. It's just supply and demand, and there's always going to be collectors that want rare stuff like that. So I would definitely buy a couple of those myself.
Definitely. Just a couple more. Now we'll get into some sports talk. What are your thoughts on the upcoming NBA season in terms of teams and players? It doesn't have to be car related. You can relate it to cars, but a couple tips, couple thoughts. Are you big on the big Brooklyn bandwagon like everyone is, or?
I used to be a Nets fan because I'm from New Jersey, but once they changed, I stopped caring about them. I like the Lakers now that I'm here. I think they're gonna win again, but there's some good teams this year, so it's gonna be exciting.
Your thoughts on Atlanta?
They got
fair
two players, right?
Yeah, they got Bogdanovic. They picked up a few players. Bogdanovic. They got Clint Capella, Rondo.
Okay.
There was another player that they got, and then obviously Collins is there. Trae Young. I reckon that might be the team to watch in the East in terms of like progressing. But see what happens there. And then just lastly, the rookies coming into this season. Any thoughts on who you think could be, is the main ones that you want to collect, but a sleeper as well?
Man, I honestly didn't get to see a lot of them play because of COVID. Like, literally, the only one I know is LaMelo Ball.
He's got a bit of footage out there. He played down here, so.
The dog's going off, Sean. The dog. You haven't fed the dog, have you?
I fed him. He has to pee now. Sorry about that.
All good, mate. We're finishing up anyway. Just a tip. The tip from, a couple for yourself from us. I think Cole Anthony will be somebody definitely to look at. As we saw yesterday, Isaac Okoro looks pretty good for Cleveland, which is a positive. Obviously, Ball played really well yesterday. I know he didn't score, but his just court vision is unbelievable. So potential there as well. But there's a few. I think this draft class will surprise a lot of people. So, you're on mute. You're on mute. Sorry, Sean.
Sorry. I'm muting myself. The dog. Yeah, no, I've been seeing a ton of hate on it because I think it's mostly because people didn't see them play in college this year.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's just one thing as well that we've been saying with. Well, I've been high on. I'll probably get criticised for it when people start listening to the pod more and more frequently. But my whole thing's like, don't put all your eggs in the Zion basket. I just got this feeling that Morant's going to be the best player in that draft. I'm just not convinced on Zion yet.
Nah, KZ Okpala is going to be the best player in that draft because I've got a lot of his cards.
I hope Zion's good. I have a lot of his cards.
Yeah, I just think it's a buyer's beware. I'm not telling people sell all your stock. I'm like, like people don't have to listen to. I just buyers beware. Like, we've only had a short sample size, and what I've seen from his short sample size has been good in terms of like basketball, but in terms of like his basketball build, it's been actually very poor. He came back in worse shape than what he left when they came into the bubble. And I was like, this isn't good. Like, it's not good signs. I understand there was closures to facilities. We'll see how he comes, obviously, back into this season. But It's just a buyer's beware. Morant is just a freak. As we saw in the preseason game, he just balled out, literally.
Yeah, I got a lot of what
he wants. Yeah, it's a good buy. Good buy, definitely. All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much once again, mate, for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Australia. I actually bought from Cherry 2 weeks ago.
Very nice.
They're
Very
they're our
nice.
friends down at Cherry. They've been on the podcast. Great supporters of us. So yeah.
Yeah, keep buying from them.
Keep buying for Cherry. Keep supporting
Yeah.
our local store. They're the number one card store in Australia. That's for sure. Biggest and the baddest. And
Yeah, they had a good deal on 2019 Prism Hobbies. I got it for $26.75 US.
Yep.
And just sold it to Phil Hughes for $3,000. If you guys know him,
he breaks on YouTube.
he's a breaker on YouTube. He used to be on the Yankees as a pitcher.
Yes.
And they also sent like 2 free packs with the order, so that was super cool of them. No other shop's done that for me.
No, they're awesome. They'll always look after you. That's really, really good thing about them. They're lovely people, really lovely people down there. Grayson and the crew, they do a great job. So yeah, that's awesome to hear. Really, really good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Signing off. It's been double coverage. Keep living, loving, and breathing sports. It's been Dom, John, and Sean. Once again, appreciate it. Peace.
Peace out, ladies and gents.
Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports, double curve.